Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at some more figures that were recently released as part of Hasbro's 3 3/4 inch line of the Black series. This time around it's a figure that goes hand in hand with Yoda that I previously reviewed, and I actually gave you a sneaky peek of him in my last video. It is of course this guy, Luke Skywalker, this time around in his Dagobah fatigues. This is obviously Luke as he appears during the Jedi training scenes in The Empire Strikes Back, and he is a very controversial figure. Some people love it, some people hate it. In my opinion, it's really good. Much better than some people have been making out. I can understand why some people don't like it so much, but for me this is a really cool figure. And as I said in my Yoda review, once you pair him up with Yoda and the backpack and all that sort of stuff to recreate those scenes from The Empire Strikes Back, you really do have an awesome figure. So we'll talk about that in just a bit, but before we do, let's take a look at the packaging he comes in. Once again, you know, I'm really running out of things to say about these Black Series cards. They are all very much the same, aside from the image of the character in the top corner. On the reverse side, sadly, once again, this is a European release, so we have that multi-language sticker covering the back, but obviously this covers up a character description and image from the film there. If you have this figure yourself, you can easily peel that off, but for the purposes of this review and for time constraints, I'm not going to do that. Probably should have done it before the review, really. Oh well. But there we go, that is the packaging for Luke. Now let's take a look at the figure inside. Now I'll run through some of the articulation and stuff before we talk about accessories with this one. Hasbro have tried something new with this figure, and you know, they've done a lot of things wrong over the past few years. I'm looking at that Yoda figure in my last video, for example, but they've really tried to accomplish something with this figure, and they've very nearly succeeded. I'll give them that. You know, there are still some things that are quite off about it, but for the most part, it's a good experiment. It's a, you know, I'll not say it's a good first try, because Hasbro shouldn't try and release things. They should try, perfect it, and then release it. But they've done a decent job with this one. Now, what I'm referring to is these elbow joints, or which are, you know, unprecedented really with Star Wars figures. We've never seen this level of articulation in a 3 3/4 inch figure arm. Not from the Star Wars line, at least. As you can see, this is very much more reminiscent of the 6-inch line, as you have double joints in the elbows. Now this is obviously to recreate some of the poses from the film, primarily the scenes where Luke carries Yoda around on his back. If you saw my last review, then you'll have seen Luke holding onto the backpack. This articulation in the arms really does allow for Luke to stand in a much more natural pose, holding the harnesses to the backpack and looking really just very cool. This is one of the main issues that many people have with this figure, mainly because the joints are very visible. You know, I understand that, but at the same time, if you accept it for what it is, which is essentially an action figure which is made of plastic and moves around, you're going to have articulation points. I can take it for what it is. I can see it as what it is, and that's a toy, and it looks fine to me. It doesn't really look that bad, and for the purposes of you know, to be able to do what it needs to do, I'll accept it. It looks really good. So yeah, not a huge issue for me with those arms. In terms of general articulation, Luke does have a ball jointed neck. He has hinged shoulders, he has swivel biceps. He also has those double joints in the arm that I was talking about. He has hinged wrists, has a swivel waist, hinged hips, ball hinged knees, and ball hinged ankles. So pretty much every pose that Luke does in The Empire Strikes Back during the Jedi training scenes, you can get him in with this figure. The only real flaw I have with this figure is the head sculpt. It's not the best Luke Skywalker head sculpt we've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst. And once again, like with the articulation in the arms, I'll take it for what it is. It's a toy, and it doesn't look that bad. In terms of accessories, he does indeed come with a very cool looking belt, which has been nicely sculpted and detailed. One thing I really like about this is the fact that Hasbro have even sculpted the harness that holds the holster to the leg. They've sculpted that as being unfastened, which looks really, really cool. As you can see, you've got the buckle there and all the appropriate pouches and all that sort of thing. It can be removed via a clip at the back, and you've also got a holster there, which does indeed house a blaster pistol. He also comes with a lightsaber and a lightsaber hilt as well. Main issue with this accessory is the fact that you've got a peg on the hilt which doesn't actually fit anywhere on the belt, which is a huge disappointment. Surely it would have made more sense to either put a hole on the belt, or as you can see you've got this small hook on the belt just there, which you could have put something on the end of the hilt and slotted it on there. So I don't know, just a missed mark there with the belt and the hilt, but never mind. One of the really cool things that is included with this figure, and that I'm really happy to see, is the addition of 2 extra hands. Now this is really cool and harkens back to what I was saying in the Yoda review, that you really get your value for money worth with this figure. You know, you've got extra hands, you've got a lightsaber, you've got a belt, a blaster pistol, just tons of plastic for your money, and that's what's really lacking from Yoda. So in all essence, Luke is a much better figure than Yoda, but as I said in the Yoda review, they do make a very good double act. Now these hands in particular are included to recreate the scenes again from The Empire Strikes Back. You may recall Luke doing handstands and all that sort of thing, and with enough posing and enough time and effort you can actually get Luke to stand on his hands, which is very cool. As you can see, these hands do hinge at the wrist, so you can get them in some really cool poses, and it's really nice that Hasbro decided to give us those and actually enable this figure to stand in the handstand pose. So all in all, I'm very impressed with this figure. Once again, combining with the backpack and Yoda, you've got some fantastic scenes on your hands there. It's just a shame that Yoda wasn't packed in with Luke, as that would have been a phenomenal deal in my opinion. That's going to do it, however, for this Luke Skywalker video review. I highly recommend this figure for the most part. There are some things wrong with it, but if you want to recreate those scenes from The Empire Strikes Back, this is the one you need, especially with that backpack and Yoda figure combined. So I hope you enjoyed this review on Luke Skywalker, and I'll be back to give you a look at a very cool figure next, and this is one that I've really been looking forward to giving you a look at. So stay tuned until then, and as always guys, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.